Hello, Blue Jay fans. I'm Brock Turnbull, along with my co-host Jesse Schwartzman, and we are back for season two, episode 3 of the We Want More Vodcast.
Winds up, takes a go forward, scores another one for Hopkins.
The test was just called it right in there. Shot the goal right out front. The Blue Jays
does not wear a brace. Never has shown any adverse effects. Harrison with it. Big shot. Scores! Kyle Harrison goes high. That's it. It's over. Johns Hopkins has won its ninth national championship.
We're joined now by Peter Milliman, head coach of the Johns Hopkins men's lacrosse team. Pete, thanks for joining us. Thanks for taking the time. Hey, so kind of season started off with 3 games in 8 days. And now you're in the middle of your second straight 1-game week. I imagine you and your staff and the guys may be getting into a little bit more of a rhythm and a routine now. Can you walk us through a typical week for you and the team? Kind of what does the practice schedule look like? When do you guys practice? When do you kind of train and condition? When do you watch film? Walk us through a week of the Blue Jay program.
Sure. Thanks for having me back. Excited to be here. We are in the middle of our second, I would say, normal week. The first week of the season is never really normal when you add a midweek to it. It's a bit of a challenge. So getting into this routine, there's going to be some tweaks to it as we go. We try to replicate some things from the past, but also, every season you feel it's a little bit different. We're practicing in the morning this year for the first time. So we go 8 to 10 a.m. every day. We've always been in the afternoon outside of the fall where you're kind of all over the place. A lot of times 6 in the morning, stuff like that. But that's changed the routine a little bit because then we need to, find some afternoon film sessions or some different times to do some separate meetings. You get what you can done before practice, but a lot of times, you get your post practice, recap stuff done in the middle of the day, and you can kind of call guys back in. So coming out of Saturday's game with Loyola, we take Sunday off other than recovery and treatments. Monday, we get together, do our film review from the previous game. We get a lift in with Coach Jay. And then we get out on the field, or I guess before the lift, we get out on the field for a little bit, not a long time, just get guys back on the field, get them touching the ball, get them working through some stuff. A good chance to get the guys that didn't play much, some really good reps. We get the, half field offense, defense against those guys. And then that's really it. They go off and they lift with Coach Jay, and then that's Monday. Tuesday, a bit of a lighter day. We're off the field. But a good chance to really dig into some more stuff in the plan for a weekly review. You can get more into the finer details of what you went through in the game or what you're expecting to see. We do another recovery session. Guys can get yoga. We've done pool workouts. We'll go do some mobility sessions with Coach Jay, a few different things. And then we'll come back together at the end of that and deliver the scout for the week. So they get their material for the opponent and what the game keys are and the individual matchups and stuff like that. Wednesday, Thursday, pretty standard when it comes to those practice days. You got, heavy scout material, full field, ride clear, face off units, some more specifics with the lineup, who's playing where, how guys are feeling based off of, the previous week and the treatments, the status report, if you're moving guys around or making any adjustments to the lineup. Friday, got to have everything set to go so we can get out on the practice field, run through what we need to, final tweaks on the game plan, some scouts review, offensive stuff, mostly, skeleton and just getting your last few, quick hitters and stuff like that organized, defense, making sure you answer any questions, do our lineup announcements and run through any scenarios that we need to cover, end of game, anything specific that comes up in those situations. And then sky balls and
Gotta finish with sky balls.
Gotta finish with sky balls. And then offense usually goes the other end of the field and throws tennis balls at each other or something like that for a couple minutes. And then we do practice player of the week, and then we get to class and meet up at Sammy's for senior speech and team dinner. And then it's game day. And that's a great
Love
routine.
it. So
Yeah.
The practice player of the week is something that sounds new, at least to me. How long has that been going on, and how did that all start?
A few years ago when we got here, just an idea of recognizing, guys that are putting in a ton of work, guys that are really making an impact, that maybe doesn't show up on everybody's score sheet, or they don't get a chance to see them on game day. Guys that are really digging in on the green machine and giving you a great look at the scout. Or sometimes it's just guys that have a hell of a week. Maybe they're in the middle of lineup, or you don't really know where they are. They're just setting a tone for what workouts are like this week, what practice is like this week, the energy, the intensity. A lot of times it's a big scout assignment that you got to work on, and sometimes it's just somebody that's just bringing the energy. Somebody's just really like elevating the level of the team. And so Coach Jay gets a vote on those. The whole staff gets a vote. We come together and we make a decision, and then we announce it at the end of the week. And there's a big chain that he puts in his locker. He gets to carry it around for the week, and then bring it back out to practice. So
I love that, and it probably also brings kind of a level of compete to all the guys that like you said don't show up in the stat sheet on Saturdays. So that's
yeah, I
awesome.
would say so. Yeah, it's cool. And a lot of times it's younger guys that getting their first recognition, or they get elevated from the rest of the group, just really embracing that commitment and that dedication to the day-to-days, the Monday through Friday.
Yeah, very cool. Hey, Coach, let's step it back to last week, or on Saturday. Another of it, what seems like every game is a rivalry game at Hopkins, and that's why people decide to go to Hopkins, as I'm sure you know. Talk us through the Loyola game. It was kind of up and down, back and forth. We found ourselves down by a couple of goals in multiple junctures in the game. Kind of give us your thoughts on last Saturday at Loyola.
Sure. You start with the obvious that you mentioned, is that it's a rivalry. It's a Charles Street rivalry. It's a team that's you can almost see their campus from here and hear them practicing and stuff like that. But there's an intensity to it, regardless of what the record is. It's always a toughly contested game. Those guys are super well coached, and we go head to head with them in a lot of different battles, recruiting wise, stuff like that. So there's a lot of relevance to it. They have a heck of an environment for game day. They packed that stadium, even though it was like 0 degrees or whatever the heck it was. It was there's a ton of fans there. They got a big tailgating scene, so they're rowdy. And it just makes it a little bit more of a challenging environment for our guys. And so we try and present that as one of the challenges going ahead, but making sure that you're focusing on what we do and not the externals. But they did a great job. They competed and battled all the way through. They gave us a full test. I thought we found maybe a little bit of a rhythm. We're trying to break at times, but we're starting off a little slow on the faceoffs, but we're picking it up in the second half again. So we saw another consistency in that trend, although I'm not going to give them back in the second half. I just want a few more to start the game.
Right.
I think our offense needs to find a way to play a little bit more consistent when we're not getting the face-off possessions early. We need to find a way to value the ball a little bit better so that we can protect our defense and make the other team work a little bit better. But I thought our defense was excellent. They dug in when they needed to. They got some big stops. They cleared the ball well. It's really probably a testament to the brotherhood. We talked about this at the end of the game, and the commitment to each other, that they were always rallying. They were always supporting each other. When the D made a play, they're pumping up the offensive guys, like just keep working your sets, we keep working your motions, whatever you guys are looking for. Make sure you're digging in and getting those and going back and forth, just supporting each other. And what we got out of the end of it was some guys making plays at the fourth quarter to put us over the top. And I'd like to say we could play better ahead of that so that the score isn't so close. But it was at one point snowing, at one point sleeting, and then raining. It was very cold and not a great environment, footing wise or to handle the ball. They're not excuses. We got to get better at those things. But it was, watching the film, it seems like you're watching 3 different games at times, because the setting looks a little bit different. So
Right.
It was what you would expect from a rivalry, from another rivalry. It's just the way it goes. But proud of the guys for the way they battled.
Yeah, Coach, obviously, against Loyola, it's always going to be a dogfight. Only being separated by a couple miles right? A couple times we found ourselves down by multiple goals, there towards the end of the first half, and then down 3 early in the third quarter. What did you learn about the guys in those situations, and what's the message to the team when we find ourselves in those situations?
Just really believe in the path here. It's like stay on the script. Don't deviate because you feel like the situation is dictating so much of it. We make a plan, we go out here and we execute, and the shots don't always fall for us. The ball doesn't always bounce our way, but trust the process, trust in who we are and what we're doing, and we'll get there. And like I mentioned before, like not enough faceoffs early on in that game to give us the opportunities that we wanted, but we still have to value those better as an offense. When you see the difference in the second half and in that third quarter, we go on a little bit of a run that was really supported by, I think, 4 out of 5 faceoffs in the third quarter. And so when they came out of halftime, jumped up a couple goals, we call timeout, kind of regroup, and then talk about it. We win a handful of faceoffs there, and you could start to see the offense get into a rhythm. And at that point, I think the confidence was really growing that we're making the stops. We know we trust those guys. We got, a really great defensive group there. And, sometimes our offense needs a couple more of those opportunities just to mature, just to find the discipline, but we got to dig in and make better plays there. And I just think at the end, it's the resolve and the commitment to, stay the course, just be who we are. We've had some tough games. We will continue to have tough games. We play another rivalry and another, top 10 team, it seems like every week. So, just keep battling and those things will fall, ugly or not. We'll take it.
Coach, talk about a little bit more about the defense. I think a lot of our knowns are on the offensive end, and we'll hit on those shortly. But 13th straight game holding the opponent to under 11 goals. 11th time in 13 games holding the opponent under 10 goals. You got to be thrilled with that end of the field and what they're doing back there.
Yeah, there's no doubt. I don't know if you can have to get a better coach for game planning and system development. The execution of the details is consistent. Coach Kester is not just designing a group that's built to stop the other team from scoring. He's designing a group that's built to get it to the other end of the field for the offense. So that job is not done until the ball is on the offensive end of the field, and he makes sure that those guys really buy in and believe that. Working the clears throughout, making the finer point adjustments throughout as things are coming up. I think we have some great experienced guys there, like, new or returners. There's a lot of guys on that in the field with some game experience. We got, our goalie, Luke Stout, Scotty Smith, Pat Deans, Colby, Montfort, Hackler. Those are all 5th and 6th year guys. Like that's a lot of experience, whether they're new to the program or not. That really, bodes well for, for those tight situations, but also like the week to weeks, the day to days. And so I think they've built a really great identity. Almost every day I show up in the office, and before we even get into film or practice, there's 4 or 5 guys out there just doing footwork on cones and breaking down. I mean, they're all bought into the finer points, and Coach K does a phenomenal job. I don't know if there's anybody better.
Yeah, that's awesome to see, and it was also cool to see young guys like Warry Calhoun make a great stop in the fourth quarter, and then he wasn't really sure what to do with the ball, it seemed, but he made the right play. It looked like he could have either gone down the side to Russ or make the one more, who then made it the kind of skip to Russ. But it's great to see everyone coming together and just the camaraderie and the celebration of everyone getting together after a big goal like that. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, it was awesome. Well, I don't think Warry's comfort zone is on the offensive end of the field, although he's been there plenty. But he threw the ball to Hackler where he's probably supposed to throw it to the attackman, and then you get a veteran, short stick, who does the job of then throws it to the attackman. So he didn't do too much. It was great, but it was an awesome stop. And again, the guys get fired up for those things. Like I love when the rope unit scores in transition. I love when we get big goals from those guys. They really deserve it, and they're building a ton of presence on that in the field and opportunities for us in transition.
Coach, while we're on the offensive side of things, right, I want you to talk about a little bit of Brooks English. So right now he leads the nation among middies with 11 assists, 10 in the last 3 games, right? What does he do for us? He's a playmaker. He makes things happen. How does he change us as a team?
He's pretty unique, man. Like he's we put a lot on his shoulders, and I think at times we definitely put a bit too much on him. We got to share the load a little bit more. We want him having the ball. We want him initiating whenever he can. But he's got the footwork. He's got speed. He's deceptive with the ball in his stick and which direction he's going. He's got the ability to change, stop, and start. But he keeps that ball up on his shoulder. He keeps the stick up on his shoulder. He keeps himself in position to move it. I think rarely does he try and do too much. Everybody's susceptible to that at times. You think you got a window, or you think you can make a play, and you maybe jam it to a guy that's not open, or you force a shot. But it's not a common occurrence with Brooks. He's just a very patient, very disciplined ball carrier and ball mover. And he's just, he's great as a distributor. He puts that ball where it needs to go. There's some great examples, but he had one to Collison through the middle where he just, you can see the connection as soon as their eyes meet. They're just kind of waiting until they see that defenseman take the one wrong step, and then they get it there. He had one on the low wing where he got underneath and fed one right across the front of the crease to Stu Phillips, and puts that thing right into the space where Stu needed to have it, not necessarily on Stu's stick. He just put it to the space, and Stu reached out to get it, and it was like, it doesn't always resonate as a high level play, but that's not an easy pass, especially for a righty on that low wing. And so, the guys love playing with Brooks. Obviously, you can imagine that he generates a lot of offense, but he also he's just really in tune to the game and the strategies of what we're going for, and the finer things that take some time to understand. He's got a patience and an awareness about him that's it's really unique, but it's fun to play with.
All right, coach. So looking ahead to UNC, we got another rivalry coming up. Depending on where the rankings have them, another top 10 matchup, right? What's preparation like for this week, especially looking to some of their more dynamic offensive players, Owen Duffy, Dominic Petromala, right? What's the game plan?
They're a good team. Carolina has, they've had their ups and downs over the last few years, but they got a good group. They're starting to mature. They've got an attack group, especially with Duffy and Petromala that are back and look like they're playing healthy. They're aggressive. They're athletic. You get a chance to see Brooks English's older brother is on this team. One of them. He's got one on half the teams around here, but they do a great job with those systems. They're always tough matchups. Everybody that you're going up against, has the ability to generate offense by themselves, and it's not common for every team in the country. And this is one of those ones that's got a lot of scary personnel. And on the other end of the field, obviously Coach Petro doing the defense down there. Like they've got a ton of schemes. Some of them are familiar to us with the connection from Coach K's experience playing here. But again, big athletes, tough and aggressive, good system. They got a transfer, an All-American goalie from Princeton who's doing a great job. So, they got their bases covered. It's a UNC roster that, is not surprising to see a blue chippers at every position, an elite face-off guy. They're going to be a handful everywhere.
Yeah. And coach, looking forward to kind of some pregame festivities on the heels of our annual flag ceremony from the home opener against Georgetown. We'll do our annual Military Appreciation Day against Carolina on Saturday. Tell us a little bit about that and what that means to you and to the program. There's obviously a long history of the Military Association within the program with some recent Blue Jays and Andrew Cote and Ian Krampf, who obviously played for you. So talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I think there's always opportunities to make recognitions and whatnot, but I think it really needs to have a sincerity to it that, we're not doing something just for the sake of presentation. We have a longstanding tradition and history of a connection with the military, and a lot of our alums have gone on to be service members. And, we have some really great learning opportunities as a program from those relationships, but want to make sure that we're showing our appreciation, our recognition back to them. So, there's some festivities on campus. There's some support for veterans and some awareness for, folks coming in. There's going to be some ROTC representation and recruitment at the event. And then we took it really internally as an opportunity to do some learning and develop more of an understanding of our history and our alumni awareness. And so, the gold flags that hang on the back of the nets for every game, there's 11 stars on those, and those represent names of former Blue Jays who lost their lives in battle. And I think, again, there's a ceremony to everything, but making sure that our guys really have an understanding of what that means and where that comes from. So we started a team project on Monday where we're breaking up into groups and everybody's getting some assignments for names and personnel to research, and so they understand a little more of the history and who those individuals are that are represented on those stars, that they're not just symbols on the back of the goals, that they're real people and also real Blue Jays. And so we'll get back together on Friday and kind of share what we've learned and talk a little bit more about those alums, and some of them are from over 100 years ago. So you got to find some archives and some old yearbooks and stuff to see who those folks were and those teams that they played on. But just making sure that we're doing our part to recognize and to have an awareness for how important these men are to our freedoms, our university, our program, our lives in general. They don't get lost on us just because we get a chance to go, to play the sport that we love on a Saturday.
Yeah, and I'm sure they'll all do great as fine student athletes at one of the finest research institutions in the world here.
Absolutely, I have a lot of faith in that. They do a great job with those things. It's a hungry bunch that loves to gobble up the extra work. So we give them an assignment like this, and they take it the right way. They respect it. They respect the opportunity. The alums, you guys, everybody that's ever played here has really built this into something that's bigger than any one person. And I think these guys have such an honest appreciation and a love for that. There's a passion for that I think doing our part, doesn't get lost on them. I think it feels right.
Coach, kind of last point for Saturday. I know we'll be welcoming Jacob Shrek and his club program to Homewood. You and a few of the guys went and visited him at the hospital. There was an instant bond and connection that kind of formed between him and the guys and the team. Any updates with him and his condition that you can share?
Yes, I'm just texting mom throughout the week. I know some of the guys on our team have exchanged phone numbers with his family and his brothers and even him at times, and just kind of gotten some check-ins. But he's been really pushing it with his therapy and his rehab. I think he's got a long road and a scheduled surgery in a few weeks to take the next step in that recovery, replace some things that have been worked on. But he's from the videos that his mom shared this week done some really amazing things. He's moving his arm and his leg, and he's making some progress with that. I don't know how much detail I want to go in. I couldn't be prouder of the young man. He's doing a phenomenal job. I know he's got some challenges ahead. I'm sure it's a scary place to be and stuff to deal with. And for brothers who just they're as close as anybody in your life to see your brother laid up like that and how to handle those things. Like, those young boys are really an impressive group, and they got a great family unit, family bond. And I think that's something that our group has taken to, and just getting to know them. We haven't had a lot of time to spend with them. Only a few of our guys have gotten a chance to have so many personal interaction, but like, it's just such a special time when you get a chance to meet people like that and be around them. And we're just trying to give them any support, any encouragement, any love, any brightening up, anything we can do for him. It's the least of our contribution. Anything that we can do for him, we're more than willing. So his Blue Claws club and their coaching staff and his friends have done a great job being supportive. We're just trying to do whatever we can to help them out as well.
Awesome. Well, Coach, thank you so much for the time this week and for joining us on the We Want More Vodcast. Best of luck on Saturday versus Carolina.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate you having me and you guys doing this. I'll see you again soon.
He needs surgery in the next 10 days.
Felt the shooting pain in my knee. Oh, I don't know what I did, but I did something. I stepped off to the side again and it buckled. The plan is to get you to run again. The plan is to get you back to where you were. We can fix this.
To know that I could be back out there.
I'm way better now than I was pre-surgery.
Welcome to Johns Hopkins.
Welcome back to the We Want More Vodcast with our first alumni spotlight of the year, with one of the best alumni who continues to do great things for the community, Matt Hanna from the Next One Up Foundation. Matt, welcome aboard.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
So, Matt, for those that don't know, tell us a little bit about your journey to Hopkins, when you finished here, and your kind of journey to start the Next One Up Foundation.
Yeah, becoming a Blue Jay was a little bit longer road. It's where I wanted to attend right out of college. And, I made a financial decision for my family to attend Loyola for 2 years, which, was a good experience, but I kind of just always wanted to be down the street. And, I took a year off after 2 injuries. I had a medical red shirt. And during that time off and between my sophomore, junior year, I had a chance to pivot and end up at Homewood. So, it was a great change, and my only regret is I had 2 years with my brothers at Hopkins, but the experience was huge. I graduated in '02. I was captain of the '02 team, and a great group of guys who I'm still super tight with. And I walked right into education. I went to England for a year. I taught elementary school overseas, which is a great experience. And I was at the St. Paul School teaching middle school. Ended up at Regis Jesuit in Denver, where I reconnected with Jesse, and we had a chance to play for the Outlaws, which was an awesome experience for me to kind of dive back into my lacrosse career and finish strong, and moved back to Baltimore, taught in East Baltimore at a high school there for a number of years. Then around 2009, I started Next One Up, a after school and weekend mentoring program for young men in Baltimore City. Right around 2013, 2014, I left teaching to take it on full time. And so I've been at it for 16 years, and I'm really proud of where we are. And we've got a brand new facility in Belvedere Square. And even more exciting, Pete, his staff didn't have to do it. They reached out and connected with us, and seeing that, the Hopkins team in the building and their interest in finding time in their busy lives to engage with young men in Baltimore has just been huge. I really owe a lot to the guys and Pete and BK and the crew for just caring about what I was up to. And they got to see it firsthand, which has been really fun.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I know as a local guy, seeing what you do has been great, and getting to know some of those guys from the foundation is tremendous. In 2002, you were, like you mentioned, you were a captain, and that freshman class was one of the best ever in Hopkins history. Kind of what did it mean for you to kind of lead those guys, and how did that experience travel with you to wanting to lead these young men and show them kind of what it meant to be a mentor and how to be a leader?
Yeah, certainly how to be a leader. I think during those times, those Hopkins days, and I do this with any high school kids I coach now, like being a captain is a responsibility. It's not a title. And I think for a lot of young people, it's hard for them to conceptualize that. Making hard decisions. Leaders have to make decisions that are unpopular sometimes with their teammates. And I think, I'll never forget myself, Adam Doniger, Bobby Benson, PJ DeConza, and Nick Murtha were captains, and that meant a lot. And we had to put a lot on our shoulders to make sure that we were being what coach expected of us. So that led a lot into my coaching career and the young men that I work with. That leadership piece and what I gained as a captain. It was a real position. It was a real title. And honestly, probably what I'm most proud of in my college career, because, even your teammates vote on it. And, only a year into Hopkins, I had gained the respect of guys. But man, when that freshman class came in, I was glad I was a senior. That's for sure. Kyle Harrison and Benson Irwin showed up. They're a lot faster than me. And I was getting old. My body hurt. And I thought, this is a great year to be done. But it was so fun to have. I still remember guys like Chris Watson. I remember Corey Harned sat in a locker next to me. He came in as an attackman. I'm like, dude, don't worry about it. You'll figure it out. And then they gave him a long pole, and it really worked out.
He figured it out.
Oh my God. I didn't want to say, hey, Corey, this is rough for you right now. They figured it out. And that goes to show, what coach and those guys really found guys in their best positions. But I remember Chris Watson and others calling those guys on a bad day and say, look, I've been around for this, and you're going to be okay. You just got to take your lumps with coach. And all those things. I think we just had such a great support system. That's what I love most about Hopkins. There wasn't an environment of like hazing and bullying. It was really like, we really took care of each other. And I think that really helps me in my coaching today. I coach high school girls now, of all things. And so I try not to go, full mode on a lot of young ladies I'm coaching. It's just about taking care of each other. And the idea that, I'm such a believer in the creators game and just how special this is to us. So I struggle when I see people abusing the game. Coaches and club teams and bad attitudes and crazy parents. I'm from upstate New York. Pete and I grew up playing against each other. Like, the value of the game to us is far different. And, so these days I take everything I learned at Hopkins. And I think I'm unique in the sense that I was a ball boy at Hobart College growing up. I was on the sidelines for 11 straight national championships. And myself, my buddy Scott Urick talked last week about it. Like, we had an experience nobody else did. So I just saw winning my whole life. But at the Division III level, it was humble. It was an underdog mentality. And so I just think I bring that to the table when I'm coaching these days. And we're just a collection of our experiences. And that Hobart and Hopkins experience was just super special to me.
Matt, I know Jesse and I have had the time to kind of share some old memories. As a former Blue Jay, right? What can you tell the fans about some of your fondest memories of your time here?
Thinking about it, certainly, after Jerry Schneidman passing, and it was really nice to receive an award in his name, which was a nice surprise for me a week or two ago. And I just think about a Navy game, junior year. I scored 3 goals. I scored the go-ahead goal in the fourth quarter to push us to that win. I just remember Coach Schneidman coming up to me after the game and saying, "That's what we needed you for." And, that meant a lot to me. And I think that was a moment during my Hopkins career that probably meant the most. But at the same time, just the overall experience, I just think, and honestly, in the MLL, I think I struggled a lot in college with, everything from my mental health to decisions that I was making off the field of just not fully committing to myself. And the professional game gave me a chance to remind myself and maybe others that, all right, I can play this game. And finishing as an all-star, I just basically zipped up my equipment, handed it to some little kid. Said, "I'm all done now." And it was really like a personal battle for me to prove to myself that I can play this game because I invested so much time in my life in it. But yeah, the Hopkins experiences, losing the Final Four to Princeton was really rough. I'll never forget that game. But honestly, just even losing with my teammates, I'd take anything to be back in battle with those guys.
Yeah, and I think to hit on that on the professional game, I think it obviously winning championships and winning games is fun, but I found supreme joy in the professional game, especially in the locker room. I mean, guys like you and Brian Langtree, and it was just, I mean, it was more fun just sitting in the locker room, being around the guys than being out on the field. And I think that's the camaraderie and the bond and the brotherhood that this game really brings you.
Totally. I take those. I would say if anybody would ever to vote me anything, it wouldn't be best anything on the field. I'd like to consider myself a locker room guy. And I love the culture of it. I love the laughs. I love everything that goes with it. And definitely those days with Brian and everybody. I just remember all of our laughs in the locker room and the road trips. That camaraderie is enormous. And I will say, now you guys will experience, or Jesse, you're probably getting into it now, is I fell out of love with the game in my 30s. I was too busy building next one up. I never touched the stick. I never coached. Then my kids started playing, and I'm like, holy crap, this game's special. And I forgot because now they want to learn and I want to teach them. And so I like about 3-4 years ago, it was like a shot in the arm where I'm like, I'm back in this game and coaching and coaching my kids' teams and trying to doing it the right way. So it's interesting. You go through these peaks and valleys of the game, but leaving the program in my late 20s was a great high. And then I coached at Cristo Rey and built a team there, but I took about 10 years off. But man, it all comes back. And I love my daughter wears my Outlaws jersey to school, or my son like has my Hopkins jersey hanging in his room. And it's so true. The older you get, the better they think you were. And so like my dad was a legend. Like, yeah, keep saying that, kid. I don't know if everybody agrees, but I love what you're saying. Keep going. It's one of those things that like your kids will be proud of you. And I had moments in my senior year at Hopkins with injuries and the challenges of being a fifth year and some mental health challenges where I was just really down and out. I never really thought about quitting, but I just always think about that. Finishing the drill, finishing what you started, leaving with who you came in with. My kids are so proud of their dad, and so that gave me just new spirit for the game.
You hit the nail right on the head, because I hadn't played in an alumni game in, I don't know, 10, 12 years. And my oldest kid, Jack, who's 5 now, he's like, "Dad, you got to play. You're a professional." Yeah. And I'm like, used to be. Yep. But you know what? I strapped it back up for him. And I mean, to see him on the sideline and getting to high five AJ Hogan and Joe Cowan and Kyle Harrison, I mean, it literally was one of the highlights of my lacrosse career.
It's amazing when you throw kids in the mix. And I think it just is, it's everything. And my wife and I, coach a ton. And if anybody's going to do it, it's going to be me. I want to be back out on the field. So I have a chance to coach my daughter in high school, and she's really excited about it. I think it's also when your kids see that the other kids like you, she's like, "Damn it, I got to like this guy." They think he's kind of funny. And so it's nice. I get to, and after working in Next One Up and working with inner city youth for so long, I just realized everything I've done with young men is applicable to any young people. I want to help kids solve problems. I was super lost as an 18 to 25-year-old. and helping kids find their way is something that I've become kind of addicted to. You know, I feel like that's my ministry, is a kid to call, say, hey, I'm having a challenge. Like, let's do it. Talk me through it. I won't judge you. I won't get upset. I think that's a huge part of my role at Next One Up these days. I got 20 somethings that are landing in careers and they're lost like I was lost.
Yeah, Matt, as someone who's personally been over and seen the facility that you guys have at Next One Up, like I can, really appreciate all the work that you're doing, the impact that you're having on these young men. Without guys like you, 18 to 25-year-olds do become lost. So it's really cool to kind of see how, an alumni such as yourself is really having an impact on the community. And we want to give an opportunity for you if alumni or fans or anyone really wants to be more involved or learn more about Next One Up or support you. How can they do that? How can they find you?
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, what my major role Next One Up now is career placement. And I've got some great former college athletes and current college athletes looking for internships and careers after college. And we've had some great positions. We had a young man just start at Brown Advisory in the world of finance. We have another young man working in private equity in DC, guys working in real estate and so on. We've hit so many different industries, Baltimore City firemen, Baltimore City police, guys in the military. So I really work on where they land. So anyone listening that is interested in hiring great, hardworking young men that come from a system of accountability, I'm definitely one to reach out to, because again, always trying to find great career placements. And obviously the other piece is anytime you're in town, I welcome people to come to base camp in Belvedere Square and see what we're up to and find a way. I always say to folks, find a way to get engaged. We certainly run off of finances. And I know many Hopkins alums have heard from me anyways, but financial support means everything to us, and that's how we run. But there's a lot of ways, even from mentorship, to get involved. We're really one for one. If there's someone out there that thinks they can make a difference, I just encourage them to reach out to me. And on our websites, all of our contact info. But I'd love to see more alums involved. And we certainly have had a good population that are always willing to help, and they know what I'm up to.
That's awesome. And I know the kind of the Jerry Schneidman Distinguished Alumni Award was super special to you, and kind of hearing your story about you sitting in Jerry's office back in the day. And I feel like a lot of people have a similar story, but I just want you to know that you were always a distinguished alumni before even that award.
Thanks. It felt good just to be with my community of Blue Jays, and but it didn't really come full circle till I saw his name on that and realized that for anybody engaging in building something, it's a long run, and I don't feel like I'm there. But the opening of Base Camp, our building in Belvedere Square, really made me feel whole. Having a home for these kids was super important. So I feel like I've completed my mission, and now I'm just maintaining. And we've got a great staff that run the day to day. And yeah, it's my experience at Hopkins is really led me to believe in the power of mentoring.
Awesome.
Well, Matt, we want to take a final moment to thank you for your time and being a part of the first alumni spotlight, the first of many that we'll have here on the We Want More Vodcast. From me and Jesse and from all the Jays, thank you, and we look forward to seeing you back at Homewood real soon.
Love it. Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me. Appreciate you guys.
See you, Matt.
See you guys.